If you don't feel like your life is as vibrant as it usually is, and the things that once brought you joy just aren't quite doing it anymore, we usually link these symptoms to depression, but it actually could be something entirely different.
Yeah, that's right. So the term anhedonia has been used for years in the medical field, and more people are starting to learn about this. 90s mental health expert Dr. Sheryl Ziegler is joining us today to get a closer look into anhedonia. Good morning.
Good morning.
For people who are unfamiliar with this word and what it means, help us understand a little bit better.
So it is nuanced. So it is the loss of pleasure in things that normally had brought you pleasure in the past. It really is the equivalent of the modern day, like, meh.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not, so there's the lack of like true deep sadness or hopelessness. Those are two key measures we look at in depression. In anhedonia, it's just sort of like, you don't feel as motivated, maybe you don't have as much energy, you're just not as excited about the things that you had in the past, but maybe it does not meet that criteria of depression, but we really know there's a significant amount of people in that category.
Can you talk a little bit about the bigger differences between anhedonia and depression specifically?
Yes. So the first one, when I said a hopelessness, so when people are experiencing depression, there really is this hopelessness. I don't think things are going to get any better. It's always this way, or I never, get to do the thing. So there's a lot of that polarized thinking and just really low. In anhedonia, it's just sort of like somebody going through life operating at maybe a 6 out of 10 kind of thing. You're not the lowest you've ever been. You're certainly not the happiest. You're just sort of blah.
Yeah.
The blues, people kind of refer to it as.
We call this sometimes like you're in a rut. Sometimes,
Yeah.
right? Is that similar?
Right, you're in a rut, you're in a funk. Motivation is a key part of it.
Okay.
Motivation has a lot to do with depression as well, but this is a very interesting thing. When they have looked at the differences in the brain, one of the things is that anhedonia is more connected to the dopamine. We see dips in dopamine, which means you're not as, you don't feel the rewards of the motivating thing. Like, oh, if you work out, you're gonna be stronger and maybe in better shape. They don't see the upside of that. It's like they're not experiencing that, so then therefore it's not as motivating.
What about like something that maybe you loved for so long and just no longer? Is it because like your favorite song, that you overplayed, and then now you hear it and it's just like, or you might be like, turn it off?
Yes, that's a really good example. So when we play our favorite song over and over, we are actually getting dopamine hits. There's something rewarding about that. Maybe it lifts your mood. Maybe it takes you back to that memory or that place. Maybe you feel like you can sing along really well to it, right? And so that's really rewarding. We don't think of it that way, but that's what's happening. When you have anhedonia, the song might come on the radio and you go, oh, I've heard this song so many times. And you move along.
Right.
So that is a really good example. It is that in between, and I think that there are a lot of people caught there, and they don't have to stay stuck. It's not just something that we should accept.
Yeah.
How does this change in brain chemistry impact just kind of like the day-to-day?
Yes, so in the day-to-day, when we lack motivation, what's gonna happen is I'm gonna be maybe less inclined to ask you to go out to dinner. I'm gonna be less inclined to check in with you as a friend. Maybe I'm gonna be less inclined to work out or eat healthy or even engage with my family in the same way. I'm there, I'm present, I'm kind of mulling along, but the engagement is going to be really missing, which we know then in turn has pretty poor outcomes for us. So it becomes negatively rewarding in a sense.
Okay, well, I don't want to stay in that phase.
Right.
I don't want others to stay in that phase. Is there something we can do to reverse that?
Yes. So it's not as easy as like, hey, do this and reverse it, but there are things we can do to really help. So one of the first things is really making yourself do things that you otherwise just don't feel like it. And I know this sounds easier said than done, but when you're hearing this even right now and you go, maybe I'm kind of in that place. The tip number one is really just do it. It's the just do it. Like go ahead and just do the walk. Go ahead and just call the friend. Go to the dinner. And so it's an override of the brain. And sometimes I talk to people that way. I'll say, I know your brain is telling you right now, just go home and go to bed. However, I want the other part of your brain to say, no, I'm gonna go do the thing. Then maybe I can decide if I wanna go home after that and then go to bed. So that's one of the things. The other thing is sleep. We know that lack of sleep and increase in stress, very connected. So really focus on that quality sleep. It makes such a difference in our cognitive functioning and decision making the next day. However, we also have to say we gotta reduce our stress. And this is all connected. Sleep and stress go like this. So whatever you can do, identify, if you're relating to this right now, identify, okay, where are my areas of stress, and maybe create a stress plan around it, because if we can decrease stress, we know that the mood goes up, and so does the quality of sleep usually. So those are really good things. And then the last thing I'll say is, everybody hears it, eat well, but really specifically look for a low inflammatory diet. Look to eat foods that cause less inflammation. And right now, if you're like, I don't really know what that is, in general, that's usually less processed foods and more whole foods, but also just look this up. Go and look this up online and say, what is an anti-inflammatory diet? And then just start looking on there and just try to get that into your diet more. It really does impact the brain's functioning, and so that helps us make better decisions.
And just a quick important note, if you need your medicine, take it.
If you need medicine, take it, although SSRIs and antidepressants are not usually thought to be very helpful
Okay,
for
good to know.
anhedonia.
That's good to know right there. We'll have to dive a little bit deeper into that next time.
Yeah.
Dr. Ziegler, thank you very much.